Maybe lock them doors and turn the lights down low. What is happening, Captains? Welcome to Discover Everything, my podcast where you discover things about me, I discover things about you, and we discover things about everything that is in between. Thank you all for joining me today. I'm your host, Rox, aka Rox Everything, on literally every single platform that you can think of. Come on, why aren't you following me? And today, we're going to be talking about something. Can you guys guess what we're going to be talking about? No, because you probably can't read my freaking mind. Um, I hope you guys tuned in to the podcast that I had going on last, like a couple weeks ago. The first episode that I ended up posting was pretty good, honestly, pretty good. Um, and on that video or on that podcast, I ended up discussing the difference or my experiences with religion and with spirituality. And let me give you guys a second while I take off my earrings. I want you guys to guess which side I'm on, okay? Just give me a second. I'm giving you a second while also giving myself a second at the same time. Okay, now that my earrings are off, have you guessed? Well, I'm on the side of spirituality. You want to know why? Go ahead and watch that podcast episode back over again. I made some pretty good points that felt valid to myself, honestly. And I guess at the end of the day, that's the only reason I made that video was to get my point of view across. So yeah, go ahead and check that out if you guys really know how I feel. In this video, I'm going to be, well, on this episode, Jesus Christ, let me try this again. On this episode of Discover Everything, we are going to be discovering um, how I wish to redo my spiritual journey. Now, I say that lightly because like there's nothing about my spiritual journey that I would change per se. Um, However, there are things that I wish I learned in a specific sequence. So I guess today we are going to be discovering the best way to get into spirituality. Now that is a good title. So, a little bit of my experience with everything. The way that I really ended up getting into spirituality, I started getting into crystals. Um, and then I got into tarot and witchcraft. And then I ended up like leaving all of that and got into meditation and mindful practices. And honestly, I I feel like it would have been a lot better for me if I would have went ahead with the route of learning mindfulness at first. So that's the one thing that I really want to emphasize is that when you're like starting on your spiritual journey, like mindfulness is the key. Like you can buy all of these crystals, all of these how-to books and tarot cards and all of this fun stuff, right? But it absolutely means nothing if you're not connected with your present self. And I wish that was something that somebody told me beforehand because I thought that if I bought enough self-help journals and if I like did enough working with crystals and everything like that and meditation. See, I didn't understand meditation. I thought meditation was like just sitting there, right? It's not, okay? But I thought if I did enough meditation, then I would be on the right way. But that really didn't work out because I went about it in a sort of backwards way. So, for starters, if you're getting into this or if this is something that you find yourself into, I want to go ahead and emphasize that spirituality can exist within religion. And it does. Those two things coincide. And I want to go ahead and emphasize that spirituality is not the worship of anyone else. And it's more of oneness, wholeness. And so it doesn't interfere with practices of religion, at least from my knowledge. To my knowledge, it doesn't interfere with any practices from other religions. So if this is something that you feel like would be a good fit for you, then I strongly recommend you do a little bit more research and figure it out, practice it a little bit, see how you feel about it. Um, because it doesn't interfere, then you're not going to get smited to hell because you practice spirituality, which is a very broad name for it. But the things that I'm going to be talking about today are pretty cut to the point, you know what I mean? So when it comes down to mindfulness, right, let me say this: mindfulness, first thing. Okay, I already said this. You can't have anything without being mindful. And what comes to mind when I think about being mindful is being aware. Um, this can go for being aware of your outside environment along with your inside and your internal environment. So, for example, right, we always get in our heads a lot. Like when a lot of the times, like when you're driving, like you're in the car and you don't even know, like sometimes you pass a red light and you're like, damn, was that light even red? Or was that light even green? Like, shit, did I just run a red light? Like, stuff like that is because we're so constantly in our heads. And mindfulness is a way to really bring that out. So you don't experience those moments. So you're more consciously aware of the decisions that you're making as opposed to just running on autopilot, right? Um, a lot of times people get so into their routines that you don't typically notice. A lot of the times I remember when I used to work fast food, it was just a regular thing. Like my body was so used to it that I wouldn't even remember my days at work because mentally I didn't have to be there, right? I wasn't present because my body knew exactly what was going on. And so when it comes to mindfulness, this is something that we're gonna have to you're gonna have to kind of undo and sort of get used to working in the present. So, um, the way that I would go ahead and do this is if I'm working in fast food, I feel like this is, it's a harder place to start, but it's also easier because there's so many things going on, and it's so many different things that you can bring your attention to. When you realize that you've been in your head for so long, this is something that I like to do. I like to name 5 things that are in front of me. So if I realize that I've been like sitting here and just blasted, zoned out for so long, I'm gonna be like, okay, I have a laptop, I have a journal, I have a phone, I have a bulletin board, I have a pen, right? Sometimes I ask myself the question, what am I doing right now? It's like, oh, I'm fidgeting with my earring and I'm making a video, you know? And I know it seems kind of stupid to say the least, or for lack of better words. It feels kind of silly because, yeah, you know what you're doing, right? But are you processing what you're doing? Like knowing what you're doing and like processing the actions of what you're doing are two totally different experiences. And so once you're able to really be able to process what you're doing on a more consistent basis instead of just throwing yourself on autopilot, you begin to appreciate a lot more. Things become a lot more apparent, right? So it's like um say now that you're really aware when you're on the road, right? You're paying attention to your car and the internal of your car and how the music sounds in your car, and it's like, oh, now I notice that the music in my car is a lot crispier than I thought it was, right? I just started paying attention to that. And it's like, wow, my steering wheel feels a lot more comfortable in my hands than I initially thought it was because I'm actually present in this moment. And those are little things that can change with your internal circumstances that also affect your external. Um, so like with all of this being mindful and everything, it it really opens your eyes to how much you have, right? How much you have and what you have, and the fact that you already have everything. If that makes any sense. Another thing that I would like to I would have liked to done differently is incorporated outdoor time a lot more in my journey. Because at the beginning, I never really went outside that much. I was never really like an outside kid. I was, but I wasn't. Allergies kind of fucked me over, so I didn't really get to experience those little joys. But I wish that I could go ahead and be outside more, because when you're outside, it already adds to the mindfulness factor of it. Like you're already more present because dog, you got the trees, you got the wind, you got the birds chirping. Like there are so many different aspects that goes on outside that it's hard for you to continuously stay in your head. Um and this also causes you, it's like a chain reaction type thing. It's like once you are aware, then you are grateful, right? And so once you're grateful and you start practicing gratitude. I practice gratitude in the weirdest way possible, and it's because of the fact that I've been so mindful. It's like I open the refrigerator, right, and the water that I put in is cold, even though it was only in there for like an hour or two. And I'm like, wow, I'm so glad this water's cold because I hate drinking water with ice. Like little shit like that. It's like wow, I woke up earlier this morning. Um I don't know, little shit like that. Um it's like wow, I went to the store and I had exact change. I'm so glad I didn't have to get more change. Like stuff like that. And gratitude can come from literally anything in the world. And it's the fact that you just have to be aware of what you have in order to be grateful. Because it's like you can go and drive the nicest car in the world, but that car means absolutely nothing if you aren't aware of how nice the car is. If you're just, because after a certain point in time, after being on autopilot for so long, we kind of sort of get used to just being, right? And not so much to say as taking existence for granted, but more to say that we're existing, right? We're just existing. We're not doing anything to modify our existence. We're just simply existing. And kind of in a third person manner, just kind of watching the show. When you start to become more mindful, it brings you back to first person, and it makes you able to realize like what is actually going on. And after gratitude, this is like the two main things is mindfulness and gratitude. Once you are able to be mindful and once you practice gratitude, everything within all of this becomes a little bit easier. And I wish I knew this before, but you cannot be on your spiritual journey without loving yourself. Like these two things go in hand and fucking hand, looped and double looped, double double loop, double loop. That's how tight they are, okay? Because when it comes down to it, to be mindful and to be grateful, it's kind of backwards if you're grateful for everything out here, but you're not for everything in here. Because if anything, everything starts within, right? You can't have jack squat if you don't have eyes. You can't see jack squat if you don't have eyes. You can't you can't feel anything if you don't have a physical body. And it's those things that you have to be grateful for, and love yourself for. Like when it's so, I wish I could just draw a map for you guys, because they all go in, like they're literally all holding hands together. And you can't have one without the other. Like it's impossible. If you try to even have one without the other, it's failed, because then you have the building blocks for one place but you don't for another. So your foundation is just completely unstable. Um but when it goes down to self-love, right? It's impossible to be mindful, and well, not impossible, I would say. It's kind of silly to be mindful and to be grateful, but to hate yourself. What? That's so crazy. And I know that it's kind of hard to look at your body and look at yourself in the mirror and be like, wow, I love me. Like, I love what I have. Um, but an easier way to think about it, this is what I started doing at first. Be grateful for your fingers being able to move, right? For your elbows, right? For your physical range of motion, for your eyesight, for things that don't have to do with your physical appearance, but yet your physical abilities. And it's like once you start to be more grateful for your physical abilities, you start to like your body a lot more. Um, because it's like you appreciate what your body can do, so therefore you start to appreciate your body itself. And that's the easiest way to go about loving yourself, because like I understand it's hard to look at yourself in the mirror sometimes and be like, wow, I'm the shit, when you don't even know what makes you the shit. But really and truly, being able to wake up every day and get out of bed, and the fact that you're moving and breathing and just alive with a body of flesh able to experience is is something that's beautiful in and of itself. Um so I just wish that I kind of knew that a lot early on, that you can't have one without the other. And I wish that I figured out that easy part, of appreciating what my body does, to appreciate my body itself, because that makes everything so much easier when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. Um, Next thing I want to go ahead and say is that journaling isn't a necessity. And I recently like figured this out, and it so sucks because I was partially like beating myself up about the fact that I haven't journaled a lot recently. Um but I have reached a point in my journey to where I don't feel the need to journal, and it's like I am surpassing all of my roadblocks, my blockers so fast, to where they just get processed and then they're gone, right? And at the beginning of my journey, my journal was to help me work through all of those issues. But now I'm so used to asking myself the questions and doing the math in my head, that now I don't need a pen and paper. But at the start of my journey, I would say that journaling was extremely, extremely beneficial. Um, when it comes down to journaling, why I say journaling or journal, I wish there was another word for journaling. It just sounds weird after you say it so many times. Um, but after, I'm gonna say, yeah, writing. That's another word. But after writing, when I started writing and everything, it started to help me figure out what was really going on. And there's writing, and you can make video diaries. I love making video diaries because they help me process more. And it's like I can go back and I can watch it, right? And I can feel the emotion, and I can process it to a better extent at times. Um Writing, I would say, is good for manifestation. It's good for problem solving. It's good for all of it, honestly. Journal diaries are good for that as well. But it's also good for a quick one, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't feel like sitting down to go through the whole writing process, like throw out your camera, right? And at times I feel like video diaries, they pull more emotion out because you're speaking from your heart, not writing. Writing, sometimes the brain isn't able to keep speed with the hand, so a lot of things are missed. But this is also why a lot of things get worked out more quickly when it's put on paper, because as you're writing, right, your brain is working 4 times as fast as you're writing. So while you're trying to solve the problem, problem has been solved and double checked, quadruple checked before you even put it down on the paper. That's why I love writing so much. It is so beneficial. Um, Starting off, I would say look into yourself, right? Try to figure out your own awareness, how you feel, why you feel, what do you feel, right? Taking notice of every little emotion that you have throughout the day, and understanding, and this is how you start to understand your triggers, and understanding those triggers that you do have, and the emotions that you experience with them, right? This is the one of the first things. I wouldn't say one of the first things that I did while journaling, but I wish it was one of the first things that I did, because once you notice your triggers and are able to work through them, it leaves so much room for growth, and it just clears out all of the yuck, and it allows for the sun to shine directly on you. And while you're doing all of this, you're watering yourself with mindfulness and gratitude and self-love, so you're gonna grow, dog. You're gonna fucking grow. um but yeah, journaling, great. I'm saying journaling is fucking great. You don't have to do it all the time. Like, but when you're starting out, journaling will definitely help you figure out all of those little problems that you probably don't even notice. And this is where mindfulness comes in hand too, because without mindfulness you aren't able to realize the things that you're needing to put in the journal. um so you gotta know. Along with journaling, I would say this is when we start to get into um oh geez, the not the oh god, let me think, let me use my words. This is when we start to get into a more theoretical sense of spirituality, because not and the reason I say theoretical is because this is not everybody. It's not for everybody. It's not something that everybody um believes in to their core, and that's why I say it's more of a theoretical instead of like a this is root concrete and everything, because everybody believes in being mindful. Everybody believes in being present. Everybody believes in self-love and gratitude. Um but when it comes down to it, colors. Colors are highly fucking important. And I say this because everything resonates at like a different energy frequency, right? And colors have a significant approach on how you view things. Like, take marketing for example. People who choose marketing only use certain colors for the target audiences, because they want to market towards them. And certain people are drawn to certain colors, like fucking Coca-Cola. The reason Coca-Cola is red is because anytime you see the color red, your brain literally stops. It goes into a fight or flight mode to try to figure out if it's okay. Which, I mean, you guys can literally quote me on this, because red is a quite powerful color. But that just goes to show that colors have meaning, and colors have energy, and colors have representation. So I wish that like learning more about colors and what each color means, and what they bring, honestly, what they really do bring. And this is relevant throughout your wardrobe, throughout feng shui. And once you end up understanding these colors, you can start more easily planning your day out with intention. And this is what I love, is because now you're to the point to where, like, you can take control of the things that you want. You're mindful, right? You're present, okay? You're grateful, okay? You're loving. And on top of all of that, you now have the knowledge to force your desired outcome, so to speak, right? So For example, let me go ahead and use the color purple, right? I love the color purple. It's honestly one of my favorites. Purple is known for being a more spiritually, let me see, enlightened color. So, say that I went into a deep meditation, or I had like some really wacky dream and message unclear as fuck. And I just want to go out throughout my day and I want to figure out, what the message is, open myself up, enlighten myself. I would wear purple, right? Because purple is tied to spiritual awakenings and spiritual awareness. So purple is going to be the color because that's what I want to attract. And this is where intention and manifestation comes in, because I put the intention for attracting um spiritual awareness into my life, right? And now I'm wearing purple. I'm just a giant flag for anything spiritual. I'm resonating at that level. I have the mindfulness at that level. I am consciously bringing it in because of the time that I took to care for myself, right? Because when you get ready, it's a certain level of care and love that you put in, right? So you're literally absorbing all of this purple, right? You're just pulling it into yourself and you're putting it on yourself with all of this love. You think you're not gonna resonate. You think you're not gonna shine purple. That's the whole point. Um, Along with colors, right? I feel like these two can go either way. You can learn colors first, or you can learn chakras, because at the end of the day, both of them still represent colors, and both of them have equal importance to this. All of these things are quite important. And I don't recommend missing any of them. So when it comes down to chakras, right? Is why I added it on the theoretical side, because a lot of people don't believe in chakras. They're like, "Oh my god, that's stupid." But believe it or not, right? They are quite beneficial into being present, and to setting intention, into being mindful, and to showing gratitude. Each chakra is set to a different color, which is set to a different vibration, which is set to a different body part, which also holds a different vibration, um, which is set to a different intention. Okay? All of these things, like literally all of these things, are entwined with each other. And there's no escaping it. I'm telling you guys, there is no escaping it. You get one, you're definitely going to get the other. Um, so when it comes down to chakras, right? I absolutely love this, and I wouldn't trade this for the world, because at first I started getting into chakras. Um, and it was when I was in meditation, but sorry, you can learn the chakras before you start meditating as well, because of all the colors that you set and the intentions that you set and the affirmations that come with the chakras, so to speak. The root chakra, red, security. Imbalance, you're insecure as fuck, you're unstable, you're fearful, your shit fucked up, dog, okay? Um and the way that you balance it is doing the opposite, right? It's fucked up, you fix it. You're scared, don't be scared. It's just that easy. But no, there are affirmations and there are meditations and things that can help you through all of this. I will leave some of my favorite guided meditations down below for you guys to check out. Um let me go ahead and see what's going on. But that sums it about up, honestly. Um when it comes down to a spiritual journey, all that is really needed is love for yourself and love for everything around you, because without those two things it is impossible to progress, because you are going to keep running into a brick wall. It's like it's like these two are keys, and they're the master keys to opening any fucking door possible. Um, so yeah, I'll go ahead and leave some of my favorite spiritual resources down below so you guys can go ahead and check them out. Um, if you guys enjoyed listening to my voice, I thank you all very, very, very much for tuning in. And to all my viewers who are watching this on YouTube, I thank you all very, very, very much for watching my lovely face sit and chat about spirituality. If you guys enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like if you want. Subscribe if you want. Even leave a comment if you feel like it. It's whatever. I'm here for the vibes and I'm here for a good time. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.